Hello friends, Tal here and welcome to another Legion video. Today we are going to be taking a look at something that I think I've been seeing pop up a lot in some forums. I've been seeing a little bit of questions in my comments on some of my videos. It's going to be a very focused, very specialized video today, but as you can tell by the title, we're going to learn how to brew today. Basically, what I wanted to do was make a very focused, shortest possible guide to brew mastering in Legion and in the current state of the game. Now keep in mind, I'm recording this on the 20th of August. So if it's a little bit past that, if some things have been changed, if they've done some hotfixes, which of course everyone knows that they do all the time, this could be different. But my intent with this video is to not only give my audience a standard, just a go-to, this is how you brewmaster, but also if anyone is searching through YouTube, anyone's trying to figure out, just how do I do a brewmaster now? Everything's so different, everything is so weird, how does this work? I wanted to make this video. It's going to be as short as humanly possible, it's going to be concise, and its purpose is just to give you a rough idea of how the brewmaster actually plays and what you need to keep in mind. With all that being said, I have a shit ton of gear, and I'm at level 100. This is the pre-patch environment. Remember that the values and the ratings, the amount of haste, the amount of crit, all that kind of stuff that I have now is subject to change. And in fact, the moment I hit 101, all my ratings will drop. I'll start to lose stuff. I'll start to be less effective. I do have a 4-set, and I have a class trinket, which do affect how this playstyle works out. But we're not going to worry about that. We're going to focus in on how it's meant to be used, how it's meant to work, and basically what you guys need to keep in mind. So, the most important spells to keep in mind are this. Keg Smash. It's a cooldown reduced by haste. You're using this on cooldown, and it's going to reduce the remaining cooldown on your brews by 4 seconds. And Tiger Palm. It's 25 energy, you can use it as much as you want until you're done with energy, and it's going to reduce the remaining cooldown on your brews by 1 second. Now what are your brews? Your 2 mitigation brews are Iron Skin Brew, which is going to increase your stagger by an additional 40%. It's going to share charges with Purifying Brew, and it starts off with 3 charges. It also has a cooldown that's reduced by haste. And then you have Purifying Brew, which is going to share charges with Iron Skin Brew, and it's going to clear 50% of your damage delayed with stagger. The only other brew that you have baseline is Fortifying Brew, which is your big shield wall. When you use this, your maximum health increases, the amount of damage you're delaying with stagger increases, and reduces the damage that you take by 20%. It's a 7-minute cooldown. You have to keep that in mind. The reason it's a 7-minute cooldown is because Keg Smash and Tiger Palm also reduce it, and realistically speaking, if you were to start the fight with Fortifying Brew and then you used all the rotation, everything you're supposed to be doing, you'd reduce it to about 4.5 minutes cooldown. But of course, it's Fortifying Brew, it's a shield wall ability, and you use it for specific instances of a fight, not necessarily on cooldown, so whether you can use 2 or not in a fight, it's going to depend. It's going to depend. And then, going into the talents, to quickly go over this, you mostly want to be using Chi Burst and AoE, Eye of the Tiger on single target, 30 is preference, 45 for the purpose of this video is focused on Black Ox Brew. Gift of the Mist is good in like dungeons and quick solo content, but raid bosses or bosses that are going to last a little while, Black Ox Brew is what you go. And what does it do? It's a 1.5 minute cooldown, but because it's a brew, it's also reduced by Keg Smash and Tiger Palm. And what it's going to do is refill your energy and refill all your Iron Skin Brew and Purifying Brew charges. Keep that in mind. At 75 tier, it's going to depend on what you're doing. Most often you're going to go Healing Elixir or Diffuse Magic. Dampen Harm is going to be good for certain scenarios, but again, it's up to whatever you're doing. On the 90 tier, for this video, we're going to be talking about Special Delivery because it synergizes very well with Black Ox Brew and the way you're going to be using your brew charges. Neo Zao kind of doesn't see much play. And Rushing Jade Wind is if you need snap aggro tools. Otherwise, you have to rely on your Breath of Fire and Keg Smash, and they're not always reliable. And then at 100, this is a little bit of a debatable tier. Elusive Dance provides a more spiky health coming in, as well as a little bit of a burst damage whenever you want to specifically use it because it relies on purifying, so you can choose when you want to do more damage. Blackout Combo, I believe, is the best talent in this tier because it's going to give you the flexibility of increasing your damage on your Tiger Palm, reducing the cooldown of Breath of Fire, reducing the cooldown of your brews additionally by Keg Smash, having functionality in your Iron Skin Brew and Purifying Brew. It's probably the best talent in this tier. but I really like high tolerance, and I like it because it's going to delay an additional 10% of incoming damage from stagger, but also give you up to 15% haste based on your current level of stagger. And in Legion, if you don't know, you're going to be in red stagger all the time. So how does all this work together, and why am I making this video? Well, I'm going to do a quick little rotation of how it works, how you're actually supposed to be using your mitigation abilities in an environment that's very controlled here in my garrison. So it's not going to be like a boss, or we're not doing any dungeons. No, the purpose of this is very specifically to show you how Iron Skin Brew, Black Ox Brew, and Purifying Brew work together with Keg Smash and Tiger Palm. So what you want to do is you basically run in, you start the fight, and you start using your Iron Skin Brew. You pop all of it, use Keg Smash, you start Tiger Palming, you use Black Ox Brew, you start using it again, just chain it. You can see here I have 27 seconds of my Iron Skin Brew up, and then I'm just going to go ahead and use it again. Now, I'm starting to take some damage, but I'm staggering a lot of that damage. It's not actually a huge stagger number here because, of course, it's a training dummy, but the point is, when your stagger starts to get really high up, after you've used a bunch of your Iron Skin Brews to keep the buff up on yourself for a very long time, that's when you can start taking some of those resources and spending them on Purifying Brew. In Legion, purifying your stagger is going to be way more important than it's been in WoD, because you're going to be at high levels of stagger all the time, and you don't want to get yourself killed. But essentially, you start playing into this little dance of making sure you have enough Iron Skin Brew up, but also saving a couple of charges to purify. And you can see that Black Ox Brew is already back. So now I can start to use even more of my resources specifically on purifying myself. And as you can see here, yes, my health is low, yes, I'm taking some damage, it looks like I could realistically die, but of course, Gift of the Mist, or not Gift of the Mist, but the Gift of the Ox Orbs are spawning. They're giving me some healing that I need to stay alive, and more importantly, you can see how often I can have up my Iron Skin Brew. And how often? It's pretty much all the time, and you can see there I had a 30% stagger, and I purified half of it off. This is basically the rotation that you want to get into. Using your abilities in this fashion, picking up your orbs, making sure that you're reducing the cooldown as much as you can on your Purifying Brew and your Iron Skin Brew charges by Tiger Palming and Keg Smashing, and then using Iron Skin Brew charges once you use up your Black Ox Brew to go ahead and keep it up. Now, right there, I'm obviously getting killed, you know, it's lowering health, I don't have a healer with me. Realistically, when I'm doing raid bosses, I can get up to a minute of Iron Skin Brew up. And what happens when you have a minute of Iron Skin Brew up? Well, that means all the charges that you get from this point forward just go to purifying the damage that's coming in, which is just reducing the amount of healing that you need when you're actually fighting a boss. The whole purpose and the way that this works out is you put up Iron Skin Brew as long as you possibly can, and you start to purify once the heavy hits come in. And you just start to play that dance. If you end the fight and you have 3 minutes of stagger, or 3 minutes of Iron Skin Brew up, well then you kind of wasted it, because you could have had so many more purifies and reduced the amount of damage that you were taking. You want to get into a rhythm. Purify after a big hit, but make sure that you have enough Iron Skin Brew up to cover all hits. Not having it up is not really an option unless there's a moment where the boss is not in an attackable range of you. Basically, you just gotta keep that dance going. I hope this video has been useful to you guys. I hope it's helped some of you guys realize exactly how you're supposed to brew. I try to keep this as short and informative as possible without going into too much depth over Blackout Strike and everything else that you have in your rotation. I wanted this video specifically to just showcase how to Brewmaster in a very basic level, so that anyone that coming into the class or with the new changes or anything coming back to the class is able to have a nice even ground to step foot on and to start learning. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, drop it a like, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more tank content, and I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I appreciate each and every single one of you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Have a good one.